It had been a rough couple of days in Polynetropolis, the underbelly of the greater Insecta urban area. I'd been in a lot of trouble in my time, but no trouble quite like this. And like most trouble, it all started out with a broad and a late night. She floated into the room like a summer breeze. She was a papillionid, with swallowtails like you'd never seen. I was having a hard time imagining what would bring her to this side of town.
Mr. Tanib?
That's what the door says. Is there something I can help you with, Miss,
Gloria Stainbright. I understand you help people who can't be helped by the police.
That tends to be my business.
I'm in desperate need of your help, Mr. Tanib. My fiancé was killed earlier tonight. Murdered, I know it. I went to the police, but they can't do anything. They don't care. They left him lying there. I don't know where else to go. And someone at the station said you might be able to help me.
Hold on, lady. Get a hold of yourself. What happened? Your fiancé, was he like you? A left by me.
No, stewardess was Platonian.
Your fiancé was a roach?
Don't say it like that, like it's something dirty. He was beautiful. He was an ellipsidon from Australia. Nothing like these common bladdids you have around here.
Okay, alright. Fine. What happened? She told me that it had been a normal day. They both worked, trying to save money for the wedding her family wouldn't pay for. Made sense. No papillionids I'd met would have ever let their daughter marry a roach, bladdered or otherwise. They had planned to meet at a restaurant that night, but he never showed. She went to his place to find him, and she found him all right. Found him dead on the floor. She'd gone right to the police, but this was Polynetropolis. Roaches get killed all the time. Why should they care about this one? But he was murdered. She was sure of it. And wasn't there anything I could do to help her?
I don't suppose you've got any money. Only what we've saved. It's not much.
I tried playing a hard shell, but I didn't know who I thought I was kidding. I'm a sucker for hard luck cases. Well, I couldn't really say that. As a tenebrionid, I'm a mandibulate myself, but some of my best friends are suckers. At any rate, I knew there was only one thing I could do. I took the case. The place looked like a colony of termites had squatted there for a month. Someone had turned this place over good. What were they looking for? A quick look at the body told me that his wound was from a piercing, sucking mouthpart, which narrowed the suspect list down to about half the phylogenetic tree. I searched his desk for a lead, and among the rabble I found an envelope full of bookie tickets. Lots of them. So, Stewart had taken to betting on the web spinners to try and get some extra cash, huh? I'd seen it before. It was starting to look like the fiancé had gotten sucked dry by his bookie for falling too far behind, but then I found the golden ticket. A big win had gone Stewart's way just yesterday. A big win. I looked a little more and found the cash-in receipt. He'd gotten the money earlier today. So where was the money now? He was well dressed for a fly, but he still had that unsettled sort of disposition about him, like he was ready to take off any second.
Gloria, there you are. I heard what happened. Are you all right? Oh, Robert, I'm fine.
Who's this? I'm Danny Tanib, P.I. I'm looking into Miss Stainbright's fiancé's murder. I'm sorry, what exactly is the relationship here?
Robert's my brother.
Hold on. And Asilid is your brother?
Not really. We're cousins at best, and barely that, but her parents raised me, so we've been close our whole lives.
It was the strangest I'd seen, but who was I to judge? Listen, Mr. Fly. Robert Fly. Mr. Fly, this case is in good tarsi with me. I'll clear this whole situation right up. That's the deed guarantee.
Please let him do it, Robert. I have to know what happened.
Fine. But come home for now, dear. It's late. Your parents are worried. Just a minute, Miss Stainbright. Do either of you have any idea what the killer might have been looking for? Forget it. Well, I'd like to keep this place locked up till I can get back to it. Are there any other keys besides the ones that you have?
Just Stewart's. We only had 2 copies made.
We searched the body. No key. Whoever had been here obviously wanted a way back in, which means if they'd come for the money, they didn't have it. It's all right, Miss Stainbright. Why don't you give me that key that you have, and I'll work something out so that everything stays safe.
Gloria, are you sure? I trust you, Mr. Tanib. Call you tomorrow morning.
With the broad and the mug out of the way, it was time to get to work. I called a few of my cousins, the Sylphid brothers, to come take care of the stiff, respectfully, of course. You didn't want to ask them too many questions about it, but they knew how to handle a dead body. I arranged with another friend to fit a padlock for the door. While they were doing all of that, I headed to the racetrack. I happened to know that this track was controlled by the local mosquito swarm. The culicid family weren't insects you wanted to mess with. One funny move and you'd end up on the wrong end of their hypopharynx. Now there was an interesting idea. A piercing, sucking wound, and a man who had won big from the culicids. Maybe they'd wanted to keep the money in the family. Maybe they'd seen to it that they did. So, Danny Tanib, what brings you to my office? The usual, Tony. Just looking for information on one of your regulars. One of our regulars, huh? Sure. Who's the guy? I told him what had happened. I hate to disappoint you, Danny, but I don't know anything about that. So, someone bumped him off for the money, huh? Well, I'm sorry to hear about that. I really am. He was a good kid. We all liked him around here. We was all rooting for him. And I guess it's no surprise in the end. Roaches get killed, what does the system care? We're all pests to them. Well, I know he won pretty big from you today. That didn't smell funny to you? Like I said, we kind of like the kid. Well, thanks for your time. Tony had no reason to lie to me, and I didn't think he had. He knew I had no love for the police. I was only looking for the truth. What I needed to know was who else knew about the money. For that, I needed Gloria. I called her in first thing the next morning, without Robert, and told her everything I had learned. So, Miss Stainbright, you didn't know anything about the money?
He never said anything about it. If he only got it yesterday.
But you saw him in that time, right? Was there anything in his behavior, something he said, maybe?
He said that he had big news for me, and that he would tell me at the restaurant.
All right. If he had the money, where would he put it?
There is one place it might be.
All right, Gloria, we've got a real chance now. Think hard. Is there anyone who would be out to get him? Any enemies? Anyone else who could have known about the money? At this point, Gloria Stainbright became a dead end. In her eyes, the roach could do no wrong. I'd heard stories like that before, but even butterflies get pinned. This was no accident. But if it wasn't the culicids, who was it? We had the bait to draw someone in. All we needed was someone to dangle it in front of. Maybe it was a hemipteran, but they rarely got this aggressive, unless Stu had crawled into some really hot water and gotten an assassin bug on his trail. But I doubted that. That left juvenile neuropterans, a smattering of Lepidoptera, and Diptera. Diptera. Interesting. Now that was an idea I could sink my mandibles into, but I needed to be sure. If he knew about the money and my hunch was right, then I could close this today. I didn't want to talk to Robert just yet. Instead, I went back to the racetrack to visit my favorite snitch, Eddie the Columbola. Good afternoon, Eddie. What do you want, Danny? He seemed jumpy, but that was Eddie for you. I want to know what you know about this roach. You see him around here with anybody? Stewie the underdog. Yeah, I got a story I could tell you about him. Start talking. Alright. Stewie had been coming here for weeks. Winning some, mostly losing. He got a pretty modest streak going last week, and then yesterday, he struck it rich. I know all that.
What do you think?
But I bet you don't know this. About a week ago, I noticed this fly shows up 5 minutes after Stewie does. Every day, and he watches it close. I'm thinking it's strange because I never see a fly all dressed up like that. And what does he want with Stewie? Then yesterday, when Stewie came up tops, the fly makes a beeline for him and they get into it. So I hop in close, right as the fly says, "I'll never let you take her from me, you garbage feeder." The roach stormed off, and that's the last I've seen of him. Thanks, Eddie. You're a wonderful insect. Yeah, screw you too. That was enough for me. My plan came together quick. I removed the padlock from Stewart's place and dropped by Robert's to give him a curated update. I told him that the money was still missing, whoever had done it had clearly taken it, and that I was exploring leads in the Culicid family. He bought it. I headed right back to Stewart's and hid myself in the room. If he came back and he had the key, Robert was our guy. I knew Gloria would hate it, but the truth is rarely pretty. 2 hours after I set up shop, I got a bite. Looking for something, Bobby? This is none of your business. Gloria's paying for it to be my business. Why'd you kill him, Robert? You got plenty of money. You can't prove anything. There are only 2 copies, and I've got Gloria's. This apartment is flypaper, buddy, and you're stuck. Fine. I did it. I couldn't take it anymore. She thought she loved him, but she's always loved me, I know it. She was trying to take her away from me, from her family. I knew once he got the money for the wedding, she'd be gone forever, so I did what I had to do. I killed him. One more cockroach gone and good riddance. At least Gloria will get the peace of knowing her fiancé's murderer is behind bars. Gloria will never believe you. Oh, I think she will. Gloria, he was in the way. He was in the way of us. Now that he's gone, we can be together. Gloria, please.
After everything, I guess you never can trust Robert Fly.
No! I'm fine, Miss Stainbright. Electra. You know, they say you catch more flies with honey than vinegar, but I guess a revolver works well enough in a pinch. So that's how it went. Gloria got her justice. It's anything but a happy ending, but it's a bug-eat-bug world. That's just how it goes in Polymetropolis.